There's an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. There's an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. There's an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve.
Good morning, Bitcoin. Today is Thursday, July 2nd, 2020. My name is Thomas Hunt, and this is the World Crypto Network. The price of Bitcoin is down 2.02% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 9,085, a high of 9,298, and a low of 9,033. That's $1 for 11,007 Satoshis. The market continues to lean long, with 81% heading that direction. Bitcoin dominance was at 65%. Exciting news in the Bitcoin market can mean only one thing: exciting news in the stock market. The stock market so far this morning was up as high as 26,184 before falling to a last of 25,973. That's still up about 1.9. That's still up 0.93%, around 240 points up, despite the negative news. Stocks cut gains on concern about rising coronavirus cases. Dow up 140 points. Stocks rose on Thursday as investors cheered a larger than average increase in jobs in June as the economy tries to claw its way back from the coronavirus shutdown. The major averages, however, cut their gains after Reuters reported a one-day spike of more than 10,000 new cases in Florida. Boeing contributed to the gains, rising more than 1% after airplane maker completed recertification flights for its grounded 737 MAX jet. Stocks that would benefit from an economic reopening also rose. Cruise operators Carnival, Norwegian Cruise Line, and Royal Caribbean all gained at least 0.5%. United Airlines and Delta each traded more than 0.6% higher. American Airlines and Southwest advanced 1.1 and 1.6%, respectively. Big news from the stock market. After years of resistance, BitPay adopts SegWit for cheaper Bitcoin transactions. Yes, the war is over, and SegWit and the user-activated soft fork won. The large companies lost. The big blockers lost. The small blockers with better technology won. All that remains is blockchain.info, who hasn't yet adopted SegWit. Support for SegWit is currently an optional feature for Bitcoin wallets in the BitPay app. Later this year, as part of a phased rollout plan, support for SegWit will be a default for all Bitcoin wallets. In addition, later this year, SegWit will be implemented for invoice payments. The move comes 3 years after the firm opposed the update in favor of an alternative solution, SegWit 2x. The fight over SegWit and SegWit 2x fractured the Bitcoin community. The dispute spilled over into a civil war of sorts between Bitcoin proponents that saw closed-door industry agreements, the launch of rival project Bitch, and the swatting of Bitcoin developer Jameson Lopp. BitPay regularly processes some $1 billion in yearly payments. The firm reported 100,718 payments in April 2020, with 91% being Bitcoin transactions. They've been costing their customers a fortune by failing to adopt segregated witness. Why now? BitPay says it's a good time to make the move based upon merchant feedback because we've been ripping them off for years. SegWit decreases the cost of sending transactions by up to 30%. That means we've been ripping them off for up to 30% for the last 3 years for no good reason. Expect a lawsuit. The firm has also implemented a fee estimation that with the new update, users can reduce fees as much as 5 to 10% over previous versions. Not adding SegWit or other transaction batching techniques, as they are commonly known, makes everyone pay more to process transactions. A report published by an independent blockchain analyst in May detailed how crypto derivatives platform BitMEX increased the entire network's average fee by broadcasting transactions without SegWit. Congratulations, BitPay. Now, BTC Pay Server continues the open source project. Boring Bitcoin hits multiple record highs on one day. Bitcoin hit new heights in a variety of metrics today, despite some characterizing the cryptocurrency as boring. After weeks of uninspired price action, Bitcoin hit new heights today on a variety of metrics: new addresses, active addresses, hourly transaction count, and hourly spent outputs. But still, the price went down. Stock to flow price prediction model as accurate as astrology, says executive. Before crypto analyst Plan B released another red dot for its stock to flow chart, critics of the prediction model were voicing skepticism. Prominent members of the crypto community continue to express skepticism over the stock to flow or S2F chart, a Bitcoin price prediction model recently revised by analyst Plan B. Nick Cordiero, Chief Information Officer at crypto quant fund Strix Leviathan, called S2F a chameleon, a term from Stanford professor Paul Felder describing models built upon dubious assumptions. The model's accuracy will likely be about as successful at forecasting Bitcoin's future price as the astrological models of the past were at predicting financial outcomes. Cointelegraph reported on June 1st that Plan B had updated its signature chart, making it seem as though Bitcoin was on the cusp of a massive bull run, reading to a $100,000 Bitcoin price before the end of 2021. This was quite far from the $9,000 to $10,000 range in which the token has remained for weeks. On July, Plan B released a new red dot, indicating that 2 months had passed since the BTC reward halving. Despite its model failing to predict Bitcoin price movements in June with significant accuracy, Plan B continues to update revised versions of the S2F model for its 114,900 suckers. Blah, 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 blah. 3 Bitcoin wallets found vulnerable to fraud. Could be bricked. Let's find out who. According to 9to5mac.com, Ledger Live, Edge, and Bread Wallet were all found to be vulnerable to the security flaw, but they might not be the only ones. According to CoinDesk, blockchain sleuths at ZenGo, a wallet startup, have found a vulnerability that affected the bug, which they call Big Spender, allows a hacker to double spend a user's funds and possibly prevent them from ever using the wallet again. We've not tested all the wallets, but it could be that if 3 of the largest are implicated, more out there are too, said ZenGo CEO, who had alerted the firms about the findings and gave them 90 days to repair the vulnerability before releasing it into the wild. Ledger and Bread have released code changes to prevent the attack from happening and paid undisclosed bug bounties to ZenGo, while Edge is currently undergoing a significant refactor that they say will address the issue. Attackers send funds to their intended victim and set fees low enough to nearly guarantee the transaction will not receive a confirmation. While a transaction is pending, the attacker cancels it. For vulnerable wallets, this pending transaction will be reflected as an increase in the user's account balance, therefore possibly leading some victims to erroneously believe the transaction has gone through, despite being canceled. The discrepancy between a victim's stated and actual balance could be exploited by malicious actors, tricking people into providing goods or services without paying for them. CoinDesk has also recommended a precaution no matter what Bitcoin wallet you use. A general rule of thumb when transacting with Bitcoin is to never trust a transaction with less than 6 confirmations. This is a point repeated by a number of developers, including Peter Todd Jameson Loop, and BRD CTO Samuel Such. Check out the World Crypto Network store at worldcryptonetwork.store. You can get the popular Treasures Don't Float t-shirt, also in black. The Bitcoin Not Bombs, Bitcoin Halving 2020 edition, also in black. And check out right here, the World Crypto Network mug. That's right, I got my mug. It's the 2 logos version, the limited edition with the new World Crypto Network logo and the old World Crypto Network logo. It's art, and you can drink out of it too. Check out the World Crypto Network mug at worldcryptonetwork.store. You can also check out the World Crypto Network audio podcast. It's up to date as of yesterday. Check out Good Morning Bitcoin and the News, Reprise, an interview with Tone Vase, Peter Todd, and Dan Eve, live from the Transylvania Conference 2019, and many more shows on the World Crypto Network audio podcast. Did I mention the mug? Oh yeah, I mentioned the mug. Check out the mug at worldcryptonetwork.store. We're going to keep an eye on the price of Bitcoin, and you can also watch the price of Bitcoin in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Special thanks to bitcoinal.com for helping us create that little plugin right there. You can see the price moving up and down while you watch this show. More on the Bounty Gate. U.S. Representative and Iraq war vet Seth Moulton on the Trump-Russia bounties. If this is not treasonous behavior, I don't know what is. If I led my Marines into an ambush because I didn't bother to read the intelligence report I was given, I wouldn't be tweeting. I'd be in prison. Joe Biden. We need a clear message from the very top of our federal government that everyone needs to wear a mask in public. Period. It's not just about you. It's about your family, your neighbors, your colleagues. It's about keeping other people safe. Senator Rick Scott just said on the floor of the Senate, no one in America should buy products made in communist China. The Walton family, owners of Walmart, some of the richest people in the world, multiple spots on the top 10 richest list. The fuck did that guy just say? Everything at Walmart's made in China. It's funny. Arizona just reported 4,878 new COVID cases in the last 24 hours, a staggering record. Yesterday, I saw on MSNBC that Arizona alone has more new cases than the entire European Union, despite the European Union being at least 10 times larger than the state of Arizona. Arizona also reported 88 new COVID deaths, another staggering record, and the positive test performance rate was 28.3%. So if people think they're sick and they're not getting tested, they probably have it. If 28% of the people tested have it. So if you have a bad feeling and you're in Arizona, it's probably more than a feeling. The only people dismissing the Russia bounties intel, the Taliban, Russia, and Trump. Some kind of axis of collusion there. Michael McFaul, former ambassador, says, incredible. Instead of criticizing Putin and defending our soldiers, our so-called commander-in-chief attacks the New York Times and, again, his own intelligence community. You've really got to wonder who he works for. We might have a special political advertisement to help you figure that out later in the show. Dan Rather, historic newscaster, says, so we've reached the place in our proud history of our republic when the topic of the day is whether the president reads. When really, I think deep down, don't we all know the answer? And of course, Trump has famously said that his favorite book was the Bible. If he doesn't say that, sometimes he'll say The Red Badge of Courage, probably the last book he read in high school, maybe the only book he's ever read. What a horribly intellectually uncurious person. How awful. Stone Kettle writes, Trump just told us that the pandemic that has now killed more than 126,000 Americans was a hoax made up by his enemies to discredit him. Yeah, I'll buy that for $1. New national mask mandate could work better than lockdowns. It could save the United States from a 5% hit to economic growth, according to a new report, via raising 15%. Raise the mask rate by 15% and cut the growth rate of the coronavirus by 1%. Epidemiologists have been saying this for weeks now. Of course, in Texas, the governor says he'll no longer listen to Dr. Fauci. I don't need his advice anymore. Well, you didn't listen last time. As Stone Kettle writes, I ignored science's expertise and advice, and now people are getting sick in huge numbers. So obviously science was wrong, and we shouldn't listen to it. The party of staid conservatives who were once scientists, doctors, and engineers are now this guy. We're surging again. Doctors, nurses, angry as coronavirus strains California hospitals. Maybe you should have thought about it more before you went outside. Richard Stengel writes, the President of the United States reads Nielsen's weekly TV ratings more closely than he does his daily intelligence brief. Senator McConnell wants to assess the conditions in the country before taking action on COVID. Here's the assessment. People are losing their jobs. People can't make rent. People are going hungry. Small businesses are closing. COVID is spreading. And Republicans are doing nothing. Senator Chuck Schumer. Trump freaks out over Black Lives mural to be painted outside Trump Tower in New York. It's been 5 days since the news broke about Russian bounties, and still not a single word of condemnation from Trump. Not one, even in this morning's press conference, which wasn't really a press conference because they didn't answer any questions. The United States is preparing to roll out long-delayed sanctions to punish senior Chinese officials over human rights abuses against Muslims in Xinjiang. Better late than never. Still a chance to sanction Nazi Germany over the Holocaust? It was only around 70 years ago. Still a chance. Could just sanction them. Jim Cramer, stock expert, writes, I think there are a lot of people in this country who believe that masks impinge on freedom and are a sign of weakness. Death is a sign of weakness. California reimposes coronavirus restrictions for more than 28 million residents who live in counties where restaurant dining rooms, bars, and other indoor facilities are being told to stay shut or close immediately. The holiday weekend could create the perfect storm for the coronavirus. Hashtag Team Virus. A national mask mandate from Trump could save 5% of our GDP, economists say. So wear a mask. The president just had another press conference this morning He did not mention wearing a mask. He did not wear a mask. Another missed opportunity. Would have taken him 5 seconds. Could have saved tens of thousands of lives. It's just that easy. Unless he wants you to die. Unless he's fooled you into thinking that mask wearing is some kind of a political issue and that you should go out there like a brave, strong conservative not wearing your mask, get the coronavirus, bring it home to your family, get all them sick, and maybe kill them all. You're a sucker. You're some kind of a sucker. You won't wear a mask because you're a sucker, because it's a political issue. Oh, yeah. It's good work for the grave diggers. At least we're giving them some work. Don't have to worry about memorial homes going out of business, although funerals are becoming less and less popular. You just kind of put them in the ground in the mass graves, you know, like in America. The mass graves of America. Remember in New York when they were burying the people in the mass graves? You see it in the political ads all the time, but that was in America. Shout out to the United Kingdom. They're giving 3 million Hong Kongers a path to citizenship. If you're stuck in Hong Kong, get the hell out. Just ignore me and wait for it to get worse. Then you won't be able to leave. I'm going to have to get another laugh button. This is just so funny. Scott Dworkin writes, wear a fucking mask, please. Thanks. Trump calls Black Lives Matter a symbol of hate as he digs in on race. As Richard Painter, former U.S. attorney, says, this is absolutely crazy. We need to get this determined racist out of the White House. We cannot wait until November. We need him out now. There's a missing woman in Hong Kong, and this is going to happen over and over again. This young woman was arrested along Yi Wo Street in Causeway Bay at 11:45 p.m. for holding up this sign that reads, "Persist on the 5 demands. Resist against the tyrannical national security law. Please message me if you know her. She's now missing." And this is going to happen a lot in the new China, which used to be called Hong Kong. The coronavirus infections are rising fastest among kids younger than 10, dimming the prospects for Oregon's school reopening plans. Eyes open, folks. This is not the time to reopen schools. Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut says, he acts like the rest of us don't have access to the intelligence. We do. I read it. It's not a hoax. It's very real. And his cowardice and bizarre fealty to Russia is putting our troops in danger. President Trump repeats to Fox Business that he still believes the coronavirus will disappear at some point. Oh, that's a funny. And this is the same thing that he said in February. He's repeating it now because he has the same talking points. It's almost as if nothing but 130,000 dead Americans has happened between now and February. More than the Vietnam War. More than the First World War. All dead between now and February because the president didn't mandate a national mask-wearing policy. It's just that easy. Hong Kong, Taiwan, Asian countries, all wearing masks. We look at them like they are suckers, but it turns out the suckers are us. Freedom Fest 2020, the greatest libertarian show on earth, will be the first large conference in Las Vegas since the shutdown, scheduled for July 13th through 16th at Caesars Disease Palace. The virus doesn't play by the non-aggression principle. This is a terrible idea, libertarians. You're going to spread the virus amongst yourself, and you're going to wipe out your own people. You already have such small numbers. Don't go to this event. I'm not going to meet anybody from this event. I'm not going to go to anything. I'm not going to any pizza parlors. I'm staying home, and you should too. Las Vegas was a lock to host the 2020 Stanley Cup playoffs up until just a few days ago. Surging COVID numbers forced the NHL to choose a different hub city. But the Libertarians are going ahead with it. You can choose who you want to trust, the National Hockey League or the greatest libertarian show on earth. There's another shot of that water cannon truck in Hong Kong. This guy right here flips it off and runs away. Bold civil disobedience, maybe, but probably not worth it. There he is right there, giving him the finger. And they stop. They are coming after him. So not a safe thing to do in Hong Kong anymore. Vote Joe Biden. He believes Black Lives Matter, unlike his opponent, who is a lifelong racist. Trump ludicrously claimed to Fox Business just now that I think we're going to be very good with the coronavirus. I think that at some point it's just going to start to disappear. I hope. Spoiler alert, the virus will not disappear on its own. It's actually going to increase. Robert Reich says, I don't know who needs to hear this, but 20 million Americans are at risk of being evicted by September 30th. And nothing's being done about that at all. More than 400 companies from Microsoft to Adidas to Ford and Lego have vowed to halt advertising on Facebook in a growing protest over the platform's handling of hate speech and other harmful content. In Seattle, they are converging on the Chaz or Chop. Great idea to change your name in the middle of the thing. And they say that you have to stop broadcasting or face arrest. The offices of theirs are next door to the East Precinct. It's where they broadcast from daily. But apparently, not anymore. Prince Harry is reportedly overwhelmed with guilt about moving away from the royal family. What a terrible path this guy's life has gone on since he married that girl. The paparazzi attacks them expectedly. She can't handle it. Then he breaks up with his whole family and moves to Canada. Not a bad plan, but that wasn't enough for her, so he left Canada and moved to Los Angeles. Now it's the middle of a pandemic and he can't go outside. He misses his father, Prince Charles, and his grandmother, the Queen. He may never see them again. Good idea to move to America. Just keep following that girl. Good stuff. Prince Harry. Breaking news. Hundreds of former members of the George W. Bush administration, Republicans, have formed a super PAC to support Joe Biden against Trump. Hundreds. They asked the press secretary, why is Trump saying the words Black Lives Matter are a symbol of hate? The press secretary said that Trump meant the organization of Black Lives Matter is a symbol of hate. But the president did not make that distinction and instead denounced the phrase, almost as if there haven't been protests every day in the street for the last 30 consecutive days, almost as if he's ignored and missed the whole thing. Nancy Pelosi says that Trump let the Russians get away with murder. And they paid for it, too. Joe Biden says if the reports are true, Donald Trump either read his briefings about the Russian bounties and did nothing, or he didn't read them at all. Either way, it's an unjustifiable dereliction of duty. The American people deserve answers. Conservatives make a mockery of themselves again in a bizarre war against the tyranny of masks. Yes, the tyranny of preventing the coronavirus and stopping the spread of the most infectious disease of our lifetimes is tyranny Oh, that tyranny stopping me from spreading disease. Oh, I hate that tyranny. The White House is zeroing in on Trump's intel briefer as the reason why Trump wasn't told orally about the Russia bounty intel, despite it being in the president's daily brief. Former officials, though, say using the excuse that the briefer didn't tell him is just that, an excuse. Kayleigh McEnany has an argument that bases named after Confederate generals shouldn't be renamed because troops who once served there went to die in combat, and somehow they would be disrespected by a change is complete nonsense. Yes, it's as if the ghosts of the troops would never be able to find their way home if we changed the name of the base that their mission originated from years and years and years ago. That doesn't make any sense. Ghosts aren't real. It's a nonsense article. We should change the names of these bases. It's ridiculous. The White House says that Seattle has been liberated. Meanwhile, people who live there say that the police are asking people who live on the Hill to provide ID. You know, papers, please. Papers, please. Is he really using the "no one read the brief to me like it was story time" as an excuse? It sure seems like it. The press secretary says today that law and order must prevail to preserve order on our streets. Coronavirus is surging. Americans want answers regarding alleged Russian bounties on U.S. military service people, and people continue to protest police brutality. But they're just not seeing it. They're just seeing 1968 and Nixon. Law and order. The guy who invented Dilbert is a total nutbag. And this is pretty embarrassing stuff. Scott Adams has been tweeting, and he says, if Biden is elected, there's a good chance you will be dead within the year. Republicans will be hunted. Funny stuff from Scott Adams. Stick with the Dilbert jokes, right? On the upside, as a former career prosecutor, I can assure you that I would slap an evidence sticker on this click and offer it as Government Exhibit 1 at the involuntary manslaughter / negligent homicide trial of this elected official. Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said he will no longer listen to Dr. Anthony Fauci. I don't need his advice anymore. I look forward to this being played at the trial. Trump said the virus is going to disappear again. And we've got a brand new advertisement from the Lincoln Project, who, as Christopher Bouzet says, continue to drop new attack ads like Tupac used to drop new singles. They just keep coming. Let's check out the latest ad from the Lincoln Project.
Самое важное одобрение, которое получил Дональд Трамп в 2016 году, было не от вашего лидера Сената Митча МакКоннелла, и не от вашего конгрессмена Пола Райана, и не от кого-то из ваших сенаторов-республиканцев, представителей или губернаторов. Нет, самое важное одобрение Дональд Трамп получил в 2016 году от нашего великого вождя Владимира Путина. Наши спецслужбы работали сверхурочно, чтобы избрать товарища Трампа. Мы вели войну против так называемой правды, которую вы, загнивающие американцы, распускали про нашего товарища. Мы манипулировали вашими избирателями, распространяли нашу славную пропаганду и вас, американских собак, натравливали друг на друга. Компания товарища Трампа мудро приняла нашу помощь. Теперь наш мудрый и сильный лидер Владимир Путин еще раз выбрал себе американского союзника Дональда Трампа. Еще раз. И товарищ Трамп с радостью принял помощь матушки России. Еще раз. Поздравляю, товарищ Трамп. Россия благодарит вас за верность и дружбу.
Congratulations to Comrade Trump for securing the support of Russia. Very good stuff. Sorry if you couldn't understand the language there. It's in the original language of the president. Shout out to Jason Scott at Text Files. The BBS list work that he talked about is happening. Volunteers are going through magazines and pulling out BBS-related date, and his scripts are doing the work. It is, as expected, a tough slog, but they're doing it. Also cool from Jason Scott today, he's got a classic Dilbert parody that he made a long time ago. Let's check out Jason's version of the Dilbert. It's Wally, and he says, "And what's up your ass today, Jizz Mop? My stupid machine. I leave for 2 minutes. Now my keyboard's broken and the printer's all jammed up. Almost like someone pissed on the keys and then took a big dump in the printer tray. Be serious." In exchange for this cartoon, he received a cease and desist letter from Universal or from United Features Syndicate, which syndicates the comic strip Dilbert by Scott Adams, in 1996. He received this letter, and as Jason himself brags and jokes, "Jason, did you really keep a tasteless parody strip and the lawyer letter that took it down originally for 24 years?" And he says, yes. Funny stuff from Jason Scott at textfiles.com. Breaking it up a little here, giving you a little distraction with the news. Heads up, Seattle, we have reasonable, reliable information that tonight will be a dragnet with FBI, DEA, state, local, and other law enforcement agencies with authority to escalate. The media is being shut down, even if they live locally. Bad news for Seattle. The girl that was shot in the chest by the Seattle Police Department's tear gas canister during the protest outside E Precinct weeks ago was saved by street medics. She had multiple heart stoppages, was arrested by the Seattle police during this morning's sweep. Great stuff, Seattle police. The Czech Republic was the first European country to mandate masks, and now they're celebrating a coronavirus farewell party. They had no new cases of the virus in the Czech Republic. Here they are on St. Charles Bridge, the one with all the statues, and they've set up tables down the center and are enjoying a celebration dinner, mostly in the Czech language, as there are no tourists in town for maybe the first time ever. Congratulations to the Czech Republic for killing the coronavirus by wearing masks. It's just that easy. They also lock down fast. United Struggle Twitter says at Kickselly, "It's been a while since I've read Dilbert, but it's buck wild as hell now." And it's got Dilbert in bed, and he's talking to Dogbert. He says, "If Biden is elected, there's a good chance you'll be dead within the year. Republicans will be hunted. Police will stand down." Dilbert's gone a little crazy, I think. And here's a message from Missouri. Let's check it out. It's only 6 seconds.
"And I'll wear a mask if I want to. It's my body, my choice, which applies to everybody unless you're a pregnant woman. And
That does seem to be the problem with the current argument. If it's your body, it's your choice, then abortion should be legal, and you should have the right to choose if you want one. Breaking news, a New York appellate judge ruled on Wednesday that the publisher Simon & Schuster could go ahead with its plans to release a tell-all book by Mary Trump, the president's niece. I can't wait. Book is coming out soon. I think it was July 23rd, just a couple of weeks, and we're reading all about the Trump family. Great stuff. Breaking news, as of 14 hours ago, the bounty number was released. According to the financial information, which is how this all started, the records, the money always leaves a trail. They found it all the way back to the oligarch's account, and they estimate that it was $100,000 for each dead American soldier. And still, Trump does nothing. Not even a public announcement, not even a finger waving. Hey, stop putting bounties on our troops. That'd be a good start. That'd be a place to start from. Anybody disagree? Anybody out there like, I think that other countries should be allowed to put bounties on our troops. Okay, why? Cash prizes of up to $100,000 offered per each U.S. soldier killed. And still, Trump does nothing. Nothing. Here's another Karen. As Chris says here, they've gone from asking for the manager to calling the cops to now brandishing firearms. Pro tip, black women go through great trials and tribulations their entire life. They're not afraid of a damned handgun. Let's watch the latest Karen. This one's got a handgun. And although we're certainly going to be critical of her threatening another person for, parking spot, whatever they're fighting about here, something ridiculous. But at least this Karen keeps her finger off the trigger. Respect for proper trigger discipline, the opposite of Ken and Karen protecting their lawn the other day. Let's check it out.
She got the gun on me. Get away. She got the gun on me. He about to hit me with the car. Call him. I'm telling. Get the license plate. Get the license plate. Get the license plate now. Because you were never about to hit me with the damn car. You about to hit me with the car?
You fucking
both of y'all put the guns down on me, okay? Call Richard back up to the police. Call Richard back up here now.
I got it. Don't you fucking jump behind
No,
the car.
I didn't jump behind your car. I was walking. Your husband was hitting me.
Get the fuck back!
Do you see that? Do you see that? They both pointed that gun on me. He was trying to hit me with the car when I was going back. You see that? And then when I hit his car, he wanted to jump out the car and put a gun on me. That is crazy. Trump making it real comfortable. Call the police. No, don't go anywhere. Call the police. 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 You about to hit me with the car. These motherfuckers try to hit me and then pull a gun out on me. Move out the way. Yeah, I got it.
They tried to hit her with the car, and then they pulled a gun on her. Crazy stuff in America. Andrew Yang, once again, this guy should be vice president or straight up president. That was my vote. Andrew Yang on Twitter, and I quote, "This fucking coronavirus is here to stay." I couldn't agree more. Check out the big balls on Zuck. Zuckerberg says of the Facebook ad boycott, all of these advertisers will be back soon enough. What a ballsy position. Almost like he thinks you wouldn't leave Facebook, no matter how much money they make off of hate speech. Story developing. The Republican National Committee is paying a former apprentice hand accused of having the Trump dirt. The RNC's convention committee has been cutting checks to a former apprentice producer who is alleged to have all the dirt on Trump's reality TV days. How much longer can they keep things quiet? As Sarah Silverman, comedian, says, Jesus. And quoting Dominic Hamilton, who says, "Your new logo, Hitler's logo. Even if you're trolling, this still makes you a douche." And look at from the Trump online store, you can get your America First t-shirt with a little circle of the American flag in there where the Nazi swastika used to go. The eagle's the same, the circle's the same. They changed the direction the eagle's pointing, so I guess that's a major difference. And they changed the country flag, at least for now. Apple is reclosing 30 additional stores, including 4 locations in Las Vegas, by tomorrow. Once again, you can't reopen the economy until you get rid of the virus. This has been clear since the beginning, but we had to go and reopen the economy and test our theory that we could do that, killing tens of thousands of Americans, to find out what we already knew. You can't reopen the economy until you get rid of the virus. It's just that simple. This is a real Trump campaign t-shirt that looks a lot like a Nazi symbol. Whoa, it looks a lot like it. You can see here they've even changed the Nazi logo to point the eagle's head the other way, in case you weren't getting the comparison, in case it was too much for you, too confusing. Everyone has shirts that look like that. Tom Hartman writes, "Looks like a Nazi symbol to me. You think so too?" Yes, it's real. Trump's new campaign t-shirt insignia looks a lot like a Nazi symbol, and people are noticing. Yeah, it does seem really obvious. Here's your palette cleanser here. Putting googly eyes on the Vortex was easily one of the best decisions I ever made. And you can see right here the Fisher Vortex Genie. I assume it's like a stirring machine or some kind of shaking machine for scientific work. And look at those googly eyes go. Oh, that's fun. That totally distracts me from all the dead people and the Nazi imagery and everything else. Also, it looks like, she didn't talk about it, looks like there's a picture of Nicolas Cage on the bottom of this Vortex Genie. Not sure what that means, but shout out Nick Cage. America's Postal Service is made up of real heroes. This is no time to let it die. Donald Trump is condemning the Postal Service to its demise. I should know I chair the subcommittee with jurisdiction over USPS, says Representative Jerry Connolly. It's time for him to get out of the way and let us save the post office. Read the representative's full opinion piece for CNN in the following link. Breaking news: Trump plans not to respond in any way to the Russian bounty murders of our troops. He believes Putin and not U.S. intel. Trump is a traitor, and so is anyone still supporting him. I just saw it on TV yesterday. A doctor was saying it. Now I'm reading it back to you. Virus has become endemic in the United States, which means it's going to be here until we get a vaccine. As Stephen Colbert points at the sign, I told you so. I told you so. Tuscaloosa students diagnosed with COVID-19 have been attending parties as part of a disturbing contest to see who can catch the virus first, a city council member says. Unbelievable. Alabama. Still unbelievable. I ever tell you about the Civil War? My history teacher in high school had a theory about the Civil War. He was a Northerner, as many of us are, and his theory was that the North could have just let the South go. The Northern system of wage slavery was far superior to the Southern system of actual slavery. In actual slavery, you have to invest in a slave for his entire life. If that slave puts his hand into a machine and comes out with no hand, you just lost a ton of money on that slave, and you pretty much have to keep doing something with him. I don't know, accidents could happen, but as opposed to wage slavery, where if a wage slave puts his hand in the machine, you just get another wage slave, right? It doesn't matter. You haven't invested anything in your wage slaves. That's why the industrial system of factories was superior to the plantation system. And his theory was that if the North had just gone about their business, they would have been an industrial superpower, and the South would have been an agrarian backwater. It's not too late to test out this theory. We could just let them go. Most of them want to go anyway. Just let them go. Then New York and California and other states that pay to the smaller welfare states who don't make any money could keep their money. Think about it. Section 18 U.S. Code 2381, treason. Whoever owing allegiance to the United States levies war against them or adheres to their enemies, giving them aid or comfort within the United States or elsewhere, is guilty of treason. Donald Trump now says he doesn't believe our own intelligence community's conclusion that Russia is paying bounties to Taliban who kill U.S. troops. Why not? Because, wait for it, because Putin told him that Russia isn't doing that. It's shades of Helsinki. Can this really be happening? It's the darkest timeline. This kind of stuff happens all the time. Afghan officials said prizes as much as $100,000 per U.S. soldier or UK NATO soldiers were offered for American and coalition targets. If that doesn't make you mad, I don't know what's wrong with you. To sum up the past week in MAGA Nazi dog whistle bullhorns, Team Trump posted the Nazi political prisoner red triangle 88 times. He retweeted a white power video in which they said white power. They're selling a baseball for $88. More on that later. And their t-shirt swag is precisely an iron eagle, the Nazi symbol. Now, I didn't know about this $88 baseball, so I had to look it up down in the thread. They had more information. Apparently, the 8th letter of the alphabet is H. So an 88 means HH, which means Heil Hitler. So scary stuff. I don't know why they're pricing the baseball at exactly $88 and none less. I don't know why they purchased this red triangle ad 88 times exactly. That's not a mistake. Most people I know work in like 50s or hundreds. Like, I'd like 100 ads, or I'm going to sell you a baseball, maybe $20, $50. Why 88? It's creepy, man. It's creepy. I don't know why they're doing this. I mean, maybe one guy in there is doing it and he's the only Nazi in there, or maybe they're all Nazis, right? Or maybe it's an accident because these logos are so different. I look at them and I can't even think, they're from the same company, right? Crazy stuff. Chris Hayes, Boy Maddow, writes, wait. That new Trump logo isn't real, right? I'm sorry, Chris. It's real. It's unbelievable, but yeah, it's real. And now let's check out a new video from Midas Touch. When America needed leadership the most, he went to Jared. We paid the price.
My name is Jared Kushner. I am senior advisor to President Donald J. Trump.
One day he said, I want to come down and I want to have peace in the Middle East.
It's a perfectly qualified team.
How is that?
No, I was joking. The feeling in the room was thrilled.
The proposal crafted by President Trump's son-in-law was considered dead on arrival.
Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner earned at least $82 million last year.
Jared Kushner was denied security clearance over concerns about foreign influence, private business interests.
Do you pose a grave national security concern to the country?
The curious coincidence of Jared Kushner's failure to secure an investment from Qatar before he advised Donald Trump to support the Saudis' damaging blockade against the country.
The Crown Prince is boasting that Kushner was, quote, in his pocket.
The coronavirus hitting all-time highs.
Unnamed White House officials have described your role as being something of running a shadow task force.
So PPE has been sporadic.
The notion of the federal stockpile was it's supposed to be our stockpile. It's not supposed to be state stockpiles that they then use.
Now more than 125,000 lives lost.
40 million people have lost their jobs.
The federal government rose to the challenge, and this is a great success story. And the hope is that by July, the country's really rocking again.
Jared's done an outstanding job.
Another powerful advertisement from Midas Touch. Crushing advertisement. He went to Jared. We have more reports from immigrants to the United States saying that they're getting nervous. Rod Dreher writes, "A man told me today that his Czech tenant told him that it feels like Czechoslovakia in 1946, 2 years before the communists put. Another man told him just now his Romanian-born in-laws are terrified for the same reason. People who grew up under communism know something bad is coming." And they were talking about it on the news this morning, that there's a 10-week period between the presidential election and the presidential inauguration, and that the American broken system, designed back when mail was delivered by horseback, allows for this delay. So we have to look now ahead, because we like to talk about the future here. We told you about the second wave of the coronavirus. We told you about the coronavirus. And now, the 10 weeks after the election will be the hardest times of our lives. The 10 weeks after the election will be when we find out what the plan is. It's pretty obvious that the election was a hoax. It's pretty obvious that the election was orchestrated by the deep state. Therefore, you've got 10 weeks to invalidate the election and come up with an excuse for not handing over power. Then it's just a question of which side the army's on. As Stalin once said about the Pope, how many divisions does he have? We're going to find out in November in America. The most exciting 10 weeks in American history. November 5th to January 20th. Will we make it to the finish line? Will we still be a democracy? Let's find out in November. And of course, we could do something now. We could remove him from office for apparently not reading the presidential daily briefs. And even now, after they've told him, after they've briefed NATO, after they've briefed the senators, both Democrats and Republicans, not doing anything, even just a speech, even just a mention. Hey, Russia, stop paying $100,000 to kill our soldiers. Nothing. Get ready. We're going to have some fun in November. As Bob Dylan said, shadows are falling, and I've been here all day. It's too hot to sleep, and time is running away. I feel like my soul has turned into steel. I've still got the scars that the sun didn't heal. There's not even room enough to be anywhere. It's not dark yet, but it's getting there. Checking out the price of Bitcoin, it's just broken below $9,000. The price of Bitcoin is down 2.76% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 8,999, suddenly breaking up 9,004. A lot of price movement happening right now in the price of Bitcoin, with a high of 9,298, a low of 8,984. Volume is surging as well, with 2,934 Bitcoins changing hands. I believe that's almost double from our previous number, around 1,400 or 1,800 earlier today. That's $1 for 11,115 Satoshis. A lot of action this morning in the Bitcoin price. Let's check out the Dow Jones Industrial Average. See what's going on there, see if we're following the Dow or if this is just a Bitcoin thing. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is off from its heights at the opening, but still not really down. Up 0.94%, that's about 1% for the day, with a last of 25,976. That's up around 235 points. With the positive economic news of Boeing and other companies presumably outweighing the negative coronavirus news of the explosive spread in Florida. We are now seeing the Bitcoin price start to settle below 9,000. Previously, they'd said Bitcoin had to keep 9,200 or return to 9,400 to be bullish again. Remember the Stock 2 Flow guy? He did add another red dot. So I'm sure that made you feel warm and fuzzy. There was another red dot. But now we're seeing the price dip below 9,000. The Stock to Flow chart seems to show the price sticking on a line that's about 10,000, then suddenly going to $100,000. We are not seeing that today. The price of Bitcoin is at $8,950 and falling. We're checking out the price of Bitcoin today on Bitcoinal.com, the brand new Bitcoin price chart from our friend DJ Booth, who also made the incredible TallyCoin website at tallyco.in. You can fundraise in Bitcoin at TallyCoin and not pay any fees. TallyCoin has no access to your Bitcoin wallet. All you need is a public Bitcoin address, and you can start fundraising on TallyCoin. DJ Booth also designed the World Crypto Network splash screen logo that we've been using, and he made or found that sound somewhere. That dun 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 dun. Ta. That's a DJ Booth. So shout out to our man DJ Booth. It's good stuff. Just stopping there to put a little more water in my World Crypto Network mug. This is the dual logo mug. It has the new logo and the old logo, limited edition. It's got both right handies, left handies, whatever. Check out the World Crypto Network mug at worldcryptonetwork.store. Looks like the price of Bitcoin is recovering slightly, at least in this frame. It went all the way down to 8,950 before recovering to 8,975. That's off from a high today of 9,298. So we've seen a $300 to a $400 price swing in just the last 20 or 30 minutes here. Before we started the show, there was this double red candle down. It hung out in this position right here between 9,100 and 9,050 for a little while before declining downward again to the 8,900s. We're going to continue to watch the price of Bitcoin. You can also watch it right here in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Be sure to thumbs up and share this show. Subscribe down below if you haven't already. And hit the bell for notifications. And now, more news. Hopefully not too much more. Don't know if we can take it. Oh, this was something. Here's the COVID-19 cases for Georgia, Mississippi, Nevada, Tennessee, Florida, and South Carolina. As you can see, it's all the kind of chart that you'd want if you were a young startup looking for viral growth. If you weren't a startup looking for viral growth, maybe you were trying to stop the virus, you would be horrified. They're all going diagonally up, 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 up for all of these states. It's the dumbest and most predictable thing that I've seen. Yes, we reopened the economy. We put people back out into the streets. They spread the virus. And look at the fantastic results. Hashtag Team Virus. It's almost as if the president wants us all to die. It's almost as if he hates America and is secretly working against it. Almost. Shout out to Bram Cohen, legendary creator of BitTorrent. Yes, that Bram Cohen. He's got a cool link here from Ars Technica. It says, physicists determine the optimal soap bubble recipe for blowing giant bubbles. Great work, physicists. I'm sure we have nothing else to work on right now, but a A scientific advancement is a scientific advancement. Study reveals that polymers of varying strand lengths are the key ingredient. Great. Gavin Newsom, governor of California, says COVID-19 continues to spread at an alarming rate. Effective immediately, 19 counties must close indoor operations for the following sectors: restaurants, wineries, movie theaters and family entertainment, zoos, museums, and card rooms. Bars must close all operations. Governor of California trying his best to stop the coronavirus. And like Yogi Berra said, it's deja vu all over again. Facebook admits to improperly giving user data to third-party developers. Again. Yes, it's the same story. Again. You can't trust Facebook with your data. But you knew that. Probably going to lose our rights here, but this is a really short clip from The Simpsons that demonstrates specious reasoning. And I think you're going to see a lot of this reasoning around. I've certainly seen it on Twitter and other places. It's only 30 seconds, but it is Fox. So in the interest of fair use and why the hell not, here's one of my favorite moments from The Simpsons. And maybe if you think about this, it will help you think. And a brilliant clip from one of the greatest shows on television, The Simpsons. That's specious reasoning. He says, thank you. How does it work? It doesn't. But do you see any tigers around here? Lisa, I would like to buy your rock. Classic. As Sarah Cooper, the comedian who's been voiceovering and lip-syncing with Trump's speeches, she says, Trump speaks in slogans. He uses words and phrases so simple, it's easy to regurgitate them. He repeats them over and over, never changing a word. He's not just a propaganda machine. He also makes it easy for anyone who hears him and supports him to also become a propaganda machine. Great analysis there from comedian Sarah Cooper. Mike Pence says that the media has taken to sounding the alarm over a second wave of COVID-19 cases. Such panic is overblown. Thanks to the president's leadership and the courage of the American people, we're winning the fight against this invisible enemy. That was back on June 16th. Let's check out the chart. New cases reported by day in the United States. Here's where Mike Pence wrote his op-ed, saying that the panic was overblown. Look at that. We've had nothing but up since then. It reminds me when I think it was Eric or Donald Trump Jr. Went on Twitter and said, this is the best time to buy stocks right now. Right now is the best time. And the market tumbled afterwards. So it's just like these people can't seem to get anything right. They just seem to be always wrong. It's literally a Dr. Seuss comic strip from the 1930s come to life. And you can see on the left the American First gentleman, and on the right the swastika gentleman. Their two beards are tied together. As Uncle Sam says down below, and on this platform, folks, those most perplexing people, the lads with the Siamese beard, unrelated by blood, they are joined in a manner that mystifies the mightiest minds in the land. What could be the connection between America First and Nazis? Certainly not that t-shirt that we just saw today. Certainly not that logo. Here's a message for Las Vegas. They need to stop allowing smoking now so that Las Vegas can stay open. Everyone was in masks, except for the chain-smoking people blowing clouds of lingering smoke. I saw one tonight with her mask on the ground, puffing clouds in the air, while everyone else was masked up. And yes, that smoke is a good metaphor for the virus. The clouds coming out of your mouth, normally that just have horrible smelling cigarette smoke now might also contain virus. And the mask does a better job if you wear it. It doesn't do that well if one person who has the virus doesn't wear the mask. So it's been really obvious from the beginning. Las Vegas could have locked down the casinos. They could have required masks and protected their employees. They didn't. They could require masks and tell people to not drink and smoke on the floor. It's shocking, I know, but you can gamble without drinking and smoking. You could go to the bar to drink. You could go outside to smoke. It's not that hard to understand. It's what they do everywhere else. But yes, reality is at last coming to Las Vegas. The MGM Park Casino has just been made the first no-smoking casino in Las Vegas. Not that it's going to save that terrible property, but it's a step in the right direction. 6 Dallas FC players test positive for coronavirus as the team prepares for a tour. Yes, the Dallas Soccer Club, Dallas FC, doesn't sound like they'll be joining the tournament with 6 players testing positive. If the NBA, NHL, MLB, and even the NFL are stupid enough to open their seasons during the coronavirus, we will be reporting similar stories about them. Something like 14 Dallas Cowboys players test positive, 3 Chicago Bulls test positive, 15 Oakland Athletics test positive. Why would you do this to your own people? Why would you, especially with athletes, when we know this disease, well, we don't know yet, but they're starting to dribble it out. This disease has long-term effects on your lungs and other systems. It's a nasty disease. It's a vicious virus. There you go. Alliteration. That's clever. But yes, this is going to happen to all the sports leagues. If they open, it's still a chance. Minor League Baseball, for what it's worth, said, forget it. We'll come back next year. Now, that's not great for the minor league players who don't have any money. I hope they get unemployment or something. But otherwise, it's a good plan. You save the lives of your people. You don't disappoint your fans with some kind of a weird half season not played in front of fans. And you just save everyone's lives. But again, it's not about their lives. It's about the money. Speaking of money, ice cold. Vanilla Ice will perform for thousands in Texas, where coronavirus cases are surging. We didn't have the coronavirus in the 1990s, the rapper said. Yes, that makes a big difference. More than 40 South Bay school principals are in quarantine after being exposed to COVID-19 during an in-person meeting to plan the reopening of schools. Maybe it's not a good idea to reopen schools. You can't even have a meeting of principals without spreading the virus. Seems pretty obvious, this one. After a party with up to 100 people in Rockland County, New York, the party hosts and 8 guests tested positive for the coronavirus. But those contacted by disease tracers trying to learn who else might have been exposed won't talk. Now they face subpoenas. And again, you can decide whether you want to be part of this civilization and this society or not. Apparently, these people are on hashtag Team Virus. Their personal privacy is worth endangering anyone they could have come in contact with, from their coworkers to their friends to their employees to their guests. They just don't care about other people. They've lost touch of the idea that this is a community. Even the idea of democracy, that we're working together on democracy. Now, not teaching people civics for the last 50 or 60 years seems like it's really had its effect. People don't think they're part of a society anymore. They think that they're individuals. Then suddenly the virus comes in and rips through all that. But still, individuals. To the death. No, I mean literally, like to the death. Like till they put you in the ground. Then you'll be an individual. You'll be dead. You'll be a dead individual. And your friends and your family, coworkers, and all that kind of stuff. So don't worry about it. Just stay home, wear a mask. Shout out to Alex Bosworth and the Lightning Network. The Lightning Network has now slated support for unlimited-sized channels in the next release. This is one of the simplest scalability improvements that can be added, even though it's just as simple as changing a constant. Sometimes changing constants do, in fact, help scalability. And it does seem like I asked Roast Beef on Twitter a couple weeks ago and he didn't reply, that the Lightning Network is coming out of beta. I think maybe we should call it the Lightning Network Alpha now, like that it's on its way to being developed, but it's no longer reckless. And that's probably why it's time to start teaching people more and more how to use the brand new and recently out of beta Lightning Network. Chris Hayes says, talking about the future, right now at this moment, there are Americans who are alive and healthy, who will be dead by the fall. And there are Americans who have already died who did not have to, all because of the failures of our government. Powerful words from Chris Hayes. Jake Williams, at MalwareJake on Twitter, has got a really great Vanilla Ice rap for us right here. Let's give it a try. All right, stop. Just intubate and listen. Ice is back with a misguided intention. COVID grabs hold of me tightly. Shortness of breath both daily and nightly. Will it ever stop? Yo, I don't know. Turn off the lights, put a tag on my toe. To the extreme. I rock ICU like I'm comatose. Tag on my toe. Comatose. I don't know if that rhymes, but interesting little joke there on good old Vanilla Ice. Shout out to Pence for at least wearing a mask and saying that people should wear masks. Although he did have that great little party there at the choir. A maskless choir performed for Mike Pence in Dallas on Sunday. Internal emails and Facebook posts reveal that the megachurch dealt with a COVID-19 cluster in June. So yes, it's only a matter of time before we get the reports back on how many people in this choir get infected with COVID-19. It's sad, unless you're on Team Virus, like this guy. The church took precautions like masks backstage and temperature checks. But performing and rehearsing are the real risks, and when masks weren't worn. Since the virus can spread asymptomatically, that means that you have the virus but you're not yet showing symptoms, an expert told us they should have all self-quarantined. Instead, they performed for the vice president, literally risking their lives. That's the same as actually. It's a holiday weekend. We've got to keep the bars open. What's the worst that could happen? And again, the great shot from Jaws with the mayor telling him to keep the beaches open. Don't worry about this. Nothing to see here. As neighboring states begin to shut down again, bars near the Las Vegas Strip are preparing for more visitors to help spread the virus and kill more people this holiday weekend. They're anticipating large crowds. Las Vegas, a super spreader event. Thanks to Governor Sisolak for not closing bars. He's like the mayor from Jaws. He's helping everyone die. Craig Spencer, MD, writes, the United States had more COVID-19 cases than Singapore has had throughout the entire pandemic. The same with South Korea and the Netherlands and 153 other countries. Craig says he saw it from the front line in the ER. Our COVID-19 response has been an abject failure. Greg Wilson says, I'd like to have Jim with me for just a day, wearing a mask all day long in the Florida heat, delivering a truckload of beverages to various retail establishments. See how he likes the sweat smell of it by mid-morning. quite gross. No comfortable AC studios at my job. And Kramer wrote back to Greg saying, I wrote obituaries when I was with the Tallahassee Democrat. I know how hot it can be. I also know how dead you can get. Yes, being hot and sweaty is inconvenient, but not as inconvenient as being fucking dead. Or killing your whole family or your relatives. Great stuff. Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas says, your endless summer of death starts today. Mandalay Bay is now open to help kill you, your family, and your relatives. Find out what's in store for you when you get the coronavirus in Las Vegas. You might just get eaten by this shark. Yes, that's right. We've tilted the boat. We've loaded it up with tourists, and we're pouring them into the mouth of the coronavirus. Note the large teeth. The coronavirus, literally an evolutionary killing machine, can't wait to eat you and your family. It doesn't care if you're libertarian, conservative, or liberal. It will eat your whole family. And it's still out there in Las Vegas. We're welcoming you back. We've reopened the beaches. It's safe to go back out in the water. There's hardly any coronavirus. No, wait, I'm sorry. There's lots of coronavirus. There's lots and lots and lots of coronavirus. Right here in Las Vegas. It's fucking sad. Jeff Baradelli says, I've spent the better part of my life tracking weather and climate. The factoids compiled for this story are astonishing, even for me. The implication of the study suggests our present-day warmth may have risen to the level of the warmest in 120,000 years. A 100.4 degree Arctic temperature world record confirmed. And you can see the Arctic right here, maybe Siberia. It used to be ice. Now it looks like a lake. Yes, the Arctic is melting, but it's nothing to worry about. Let's just keep doing nothing. And they've got more trouble. They say that the president is having trouble saying words. Let's check out this new video.
He's not himself. Something is going on.
From The Daily Show.
And maybe I'll ask Rudy to say a few words.
Well, thanks, Rudy. He's literally sitting right in front of you.
It is even hard to watch. The confusion.
What we saw at Pleasure. What a name right now. But what we just saw, we just left Pleasure. Paradise. For Paradise.
Frankly, it is even hard to watch.
Vice President.
The inability to finish thoughts.
Decided to shield and shelter criminal. Look, wait.
The burst of outrage and anger.
That's enough. That's
Mr.
enough.
President,
That's enough.
That's
enough. Pardon me. Put down the mic.
Mr. President.
He has some verbal problems that are becoming a little bit more noticeable.
By anonymous, really anonymous, and God bless the United States.
Easily identifiable cognitive decline.
And that's how the First Lady got involved. She's got a son together that is a beautiful young man.
Even for his supporters who are worried that he might say something that doesn't make sense.
They take a shower and water comes dripping out. It's dripping out, very quietly dripping out. People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times.
They are so worried about him speaking off the cuff.
You got to see this guy. I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
The weird things that he says.
If you have a windmill anywhere near your house, they say the noise causes cancer.
This is just kind of odd. Who swears at a voter like this?
Son of a bitch. Bullshit. Shit. He's a pussy.
When you watch it, you use the word uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable to watch. Something is going on. It's concerning to me.
Something is wrong.
You've really put a big investment in our country. We appreciate it very much, Tim Apple.
It's not looking good. There's something off there, and how many gaffes can you make every single day? If my father were making the same gaffes as he was, they would literally invoke Article 25 of they would try and remove him from office.
You have never stopped working to improve this country, and you deserve a government.
He's not himself.
It does look like the president is having some troubles there. He might not be healthy. Maybe he shouldn't run again. Jay Smith says, If someone is selling you on a course on how to trade markets, they are almost certainly not a profitable trader. I've yet to see a single person who does this prove their profitability. And Obi agrees, writing this: if you knew how to make money by clicking a few buttons, would you tell anyone how you did it? So what was that decision on closing the schools after the 40 South Bay principals were in quarantine? Yes, are we going to reopen the schools? It seems like Trump has disbanded the coronavirus task force, but created one for the protection of Confederate statues. Well, that's clearly what's important right now. Why is Trump digging in on race this way? Kaylee, if you're saying that the fact that he does not want to rename our bases, if you're considering that racist, then apparently 56% of America is as well. As Stone Kettle says, no more self-awareness than a dog licking its own asshole in the middle of a public sidewalk. And Bill Burr writes, saying that comedy doesn't get any better than this. And we've got a tweet here from Emily Swavin. And Emily says, yes, the K word is stronger than the N word. At least currently, misogyny and patriarchy has been around longer than slavery. Just don't use either, okay? And they're trying to say that the Karen word is sexist and a racist equivalent of the N word, because so many Karens were taken from their home country and worked to live out their lives in slavery. Yes, I remember when they enslaved the Karens. Great stuff. The entire point of The Simpsons was to listen to Lisa. Here's Lisa Simpson right here. While all of the COVID-19 news has been going on, the United States government has been sneakily trying to remove end-to-end encryption, and it's been working its way through Congress. If this passes, the government will be able to see all of your messages and listen to all of your calls, essentially removing all privacy from your conversations. Repost this to spread the message far and wide, even if you don't live in the U.S. A message from Lisa Simpson on the importance of end-to-end encryption. A Hong Kong police officer draws his weapon and points it at demonstrators during a day of protest against the new national security law. You can see right here, out comes the gun. And now it's time to threaten to kill people. He's pointing directly at the cameraman. Pointing it straight at those people. He's willing to kill people for protesting in Hong Kong, now China. Still got the gun out. Look at all these people filming. Still, he threatens them with the gun. Who's the strong man? Who's the strong man here? He looks down. Wow, I almost had to kill people for no reason. I picked a good job. Being a cop where you to kill people for no reason, that's a sweet job. And we've got some technical analysis in a nutshell here. Looks like it's from XKCD, the comic strip. You can see all the various curve-fitting methods and the messages they send. We've got linear, quadratic, logarithmic, exponential, lows, linear, no slope, logistic, confidence interval, piecewise, connecting lines. I clicked smooth lines in Excel. Ad hoc filter. I had an idea for how to clean up the data. What do you think? And the house of cards. As you can see, this model smoothly fits the, wait, no, don't extend it. Ah! And certainly the price of Bitcoin right now perfectly lines up to the stock to flow model. Perfectly. You look at the stock to flow model, it's still $10,000. Bitcoin's $9,000. That's perfect. It lines up great. You can predict the future. Everyone knows that. Trump had a news conference this morning at 9:30 to announce the great job numbers. Stone Kettle said, unless you happen to be one of the 130,000 dead, then you don't really care about job numbers or anything. Janet writes, imagine if everyone would have started wearing masks in April. We'd be getting ready for an amazing 4th of July, and football teams would soon be reporting to camp. Fuck you, GOP Republicans, for fucking everything up, you selfish pricks. Brad Parscale, campaign manager for Donald Trump, has self-quarantined himself at home after new COVID cases spiked in Tulsa after the Trump administration's super spreader rally, where they very easily could have social distanced their people. Instead, they decided to kill them because the president likes the way the crowd looks when everyone's all crammed in there. They had 11% rise in June after the rally. Great job. Way to spread that virus. Hashtag Team Virus. And just like Facebook, investors and shareholders worth a combined $620 billion are calling on Nike, FedEx, and PepsiCo to sever ties with the Washington racist name team unless the team changes its name, according to a report by Adweek. And you had to wonder how long this racist name was going to continue while we're trying to change so many other things. Who really cares about cartoon characters when you have a name like Drunken Indians? Sorry, it's much worse. Redskins. What a horrible name. ESPN, oh look, this is great. The Redskins logo is fine on Twitter, but Bomani Jones with his excellent and poignant joke is not fine. That's how bad things are getting. ESPN tried to make him cover up this shirt a few years ago. It gets right to the point. The logos and nicknames used by some professional sports teams are racist. With all this happening with the Washington franchise, I thought it would be cool to bring this back to the level. Right there you can see he's wearing, it looks like an Indians shirt, the Cleveland Indians, and their Smiling Joe Indian mascot, which they have removed, but still, their name is still Indians. And his shirt says Caucasians, and it's got a picture of a smiling white guy with a money symbol in his hair. Perfect shirt. Absolutely perfect. Sadly, if I wore that shirt, I think I'd get in trouble, so I'm not going to do it. But I get it. I get the point, and I like it. Unless Daniel Snyder changes the Washington franchise name, the RFK site is off the table. So they're going to block the teams. I guess they want to build another new stadium. I thought they had a new stadium, but they always want more stadiums. So unless they change the name, that's not happening. In Las Vegas, more casinos and resorts are reopening as we head towards the holiday weekend. While this is good for the economy, it's also prompting concern from some. And you can see right here an accurate depiction of the leadership of Las Vegas right now. Yes, sacrifice the good name of Las Vegas, change it from a tourist mecca to a place where tourists go to die. Bring home the virus. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, except for the virus. I know. Julia Laffey writes, what galls me most about the spike in COVID-19 cases in the U.S. is that all the economic, psychological, physical pain we went through in the spring was all for naught. Our sacrifice was nullified by a handful of states who, like Trump, just hoped the virus would go away. That's right, we didn't set up any kind of contact tracing. We didn't plan to wear masks when we went back outside. We basically pretended that it went away. And that didn't work. I know, it's shocking. Such a smart strategy, you know? Do I really understand all of its intricacies, you know? And there's not many businesses left who need to adopt SegWit for the benefit of their customers. Who's left? It looks like just blockchain.info. Nick Carey and blockchain are all alone now, and I tried to warn them a couple weeks ago with a poll. They ignored those warnings. Overcharging their customers, not accepting SegWit, no sign of the Lightning Network. Maybe they're just not a Bitcoin company anymore. And it might be time to go out of business, blockchain.info. Just shut down. Stop overcharging your customers if you can't upgrade your systems. All that money, and you can't hire programmers to upgrade your systems to SegWit, to add the Lightning Network, to save your customers 30 to 40% for fees. Blockchain.info. What's wrong with you? Exclusive payment processor BitPay has added support for SegWit 3 years after trying and failing to take over Bitcoin. That's right. They lost, and now it's over. All except for blockchain. Paul Graham says, journalists used to have a monopoly on the news. This power bred restraint. Whatever their private feelings, they avoided overt personal attacks. Now this power and the consequent restraint are both evaporating. Now they're just Twitter users. And I'm sure, I said, that we can replace trained experts with non-experts and not see a decline in quality. And if you like that, I've got some beachfront property for you in Colorado. You won't even notice the sound of the waves. After his press briefing this morning, which wasn't really a briefing because he took no questions, Trump ran off the stage. No questions were taken. He didn't mention Black Lives Matter. He didn't mention the protests. He didn't mention the bounties. He didn't mention the 130,000 dead from coronavirus that happened on his watch. He just ran out of there. He's got TV to watch. Scott Dworkin says about the news conference, Trump looked completely broken. Go watch it for yourself and see. Here's Trump talking about the coronavirus, and Stone Cuddle says, relax, he's got this.
And we are likewise getting under control. Some areas that were very hard hit are now doing very well. Some were doing very well, and we thought they may be gone, and they flare up, and we're putting out the fires. But other places were long before us, and they're now, it's a life. It's got a life. And we're putting out that life, because that's a bad life that we're talking about.
Did he just say he's killing people in the Midwest because they have a bad life? Oh, no, he's talking about the disease as if it had a half-life, like it was a nuclear project or something. We're putting out that life because that's a bad life that we're talking about. What is he talking about? Crazy. Trump on resurgence of virus as cases are spiking in several states. We are putting out that life because it's a bad life that we're talking about. Is he talking about killing Americans? Is he just killing them for fun now? Brian J. Karam says, Trump sounds delusional. He urges us to wear a mask. He wears none. He says he's putting out embers while we have record outbreak numbers. He talks about how quickly we're reopening while we suffer. Then he leaves, taking no questions. John Favreau, former speechwriter for Obama, writes, not mentioned in Trump's press conference. States reported a record number of COVID cases yesterday and started closing businesses again. This guy's on a different planet, but you can tell he doesn't believe it. He doesn't seem triumphant. He seems angry. As expected, Trump left his news conference without taking any questions. That's just what you would do if you were right. He has done this repeatedly in recent weeks. He's clearly afraid of the press. Must be some kind of chicken. Joe Biden just opened a new front against Trump, slamming him over the European Union ban on U.S. travel. Because Trump can't do the most basic parts of his job, the U.S. is now viewed as posing a global health risk. Thanks, Trump. Trump says, wash your hands. Nothing about wearing masks. He does not and cannot lead by example. It takes character and concern to do that. And he doesn't care. And he has no character. Imagine being a laid-off worker and watching Trump do a victory lap about how great the economy is, especially the stock market, if, like most Americans, you don't even have any stocks. In case you just turned on the TV, says Joe Lockhart, it's not Trump from 2 months ago. It's live today. His talking points are exactly the same. We're doing great. There is no problem. We need to reopen the country. No mention of a record 50,000 new cases today in the United States alone. The former deputy director of the FBI explains that unless you presented an intelligence briefing that was on video, perhaps animated or something with nice pictures, you wouldn't get Trump to engage. Let's listen to the former deputy director of the FBI on CNN.
In those cases where the FBI was responsible for briefing or presenting a particular issue, the question we always had was, what are we going to show him on video? It was widely known that if you wanted the president's attention, you had to bring a video with you to the brief, something animated, something with pictures. And if you did not have that, you probably would not get much engagement from the president on your issue.
That sounds insane. That sounds like they're talking about a child. Do we have an insane child as president? Maybe. Just 2 days after Joe Biden holds a press conference taking questions from everyone until they stopped, Donald Trump flees from reporters. He's scared. Joe Lockhart writes, just as long as we're on numbers, Donald Trump, it's 130,000 dead, in case you were wondering. The Dow won't bring a single damn one of them back, and I doubt it will help their families grieve. Trump walks out of the White House presser without taking questions. Nothing on his lack of response to the intel that Russia paid militants to kill Americans. Nothing on the latest surge of coronavirus pandemic. Nothing on his refusal to encourage Americans to wear masks, and nothing on the Confederacy and the statues and the protests. Nothing from Trump. Joe Biden outraises Trump for a second month in a row with a record $141 million haul. Breaking news. Jeffrey Epstein confidant, British socialite and heiress Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested by the FBI, sources say. It's not clear yet if she's committed suicide in prison yet, just like Jeffrey Epstein, who, as we all know, didn't kill himself. It was an accident, some kind of car crash or something. The Economist writes, China's draconian security law for Hong Kong buries one country, two systems. The new law is a demonstration of the Communist Party's ruthless determination to crush opposition, no matter the cost to its global reputation. Be also great if the president could say something about Hong Kong and China. But on this, too, he's silent. Manhattan apartment sales are the worst on record, the biggest plunge in 30 years. Pay it no mind. Just ignore it. It'll be fine. Trump storms out before taking questions, obviously completely shook by the arrest of Epstein's partner in crime, Ghislaine Maxwell. Mnuchin and Kudlow are now getting ripped to shreds by the press. This is embarrassing. Rag Agarwal writes, my gym just went bankrupt. Who's the quitter now? And it's pretty funny. I also used to belong to 24 Hour Fitness years ago, and I'm apparently still on their mailing list because I also got the message that 24 Hour Fitness has gone bankrupt. It's likely for restructuring and so on. They'll probably come back. But it was a very interesting email to get and a funny joke here by Rag. Robert Reich says, today's job report is nearly meaningless because the survey was done before the new spike in cases. Yesterday's 50,000 new cases is a record. But consumers won't buy if they don't feel safe. And if they don't buy, jobs won't return. Period. And check out the new World Crypto Network mug, the limited edition dual logo, the past, the present, together on one mug at worldcryptonetwork.store. I got my mug. How about you? It's got both logos. How cool is that? And you can drink out of it. Works great. Checking out the price of Bitcoin one more time, we did have a major downturn this morning, followed by another slight downturn. The price of Bitcoin is down 2.65% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 9,051, just barely hanging on. A high of 9,298, and a low of 8,950. That's $1 for 11,047 Satoshis. Volume has gotten a little high in the last hour or so. As you can see, the spikes down here on the volume chart. We can't see that. No. Anyway, on a different chart, you could see it. But yes, the volume is also very high, at least in the last hour or so, with 3,241 Bitcoins changing hands. You can see the volume down here. The market continues to lean long, with 81% heading that direction. Bitcoin dominance was at 65%. We're running out of time. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to give us a thumbs up and a share. Check out worldcryptonetwork.store, not score, and subscribe down below. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, bye.